the returning Impact Dude. How you doing, Impact Dude?
Oh man, I've had a lot better days, but I am alive, that I can tell, and I'm here.
Well, we've all had better days before, and well, I figured that we needed a standby podcaster, and that's just exactly what we have tonight. Standby podcaster, how you doing?
He's standing by. Standby podcaster.
He already dropped out, huh?
He's gone. The standby podcaster has left the building. Wow.
Dang, is that?
He's gone. What happened there?
I am not sure. Let's see if he sent me a message or something.
I don't know.
Oh, he said he lost signal.
He was laying on his couch last time I saw him.
On Hangouts, but
dude was laying on his couch.
Right. How do you lose signal?
I mean, he had signal. I mean, maybe.
Wow.
Well, alrighty then.
Okay. Well,
maybe he'll show up. Maybe he won't. This is the Heelcast, folks. Anything can happen.
It's the Heelcast. Anything can happen. It's live.
Speaking of which, last time there was a Heelcast, Hurls. I understand that that you pretty much left the show and went off and added your own little standby podcaster over there.
Oh yeah. You know how that goes. I had a newborn. I have a girl now, so I have a boy and a girl. So yeah, it's quite it's interesting having two, but you heard her just about 2 minutes ago, but yeah, everything's good. Hopefully she's a wrestling fan, right?
I think she's going to be a wrestling fan. I think she's already a wrestling fan. Now, folks, anybody that missed it and doesn't know this, Hurls literally recorded the Heelcast and then took his wife to the hospital to deliver the baby. Just want to let you know this is what happened. Okay, and then she was in labor for ever. I mean, seriously, it was for ever. And then the craziest thing happened. It got so late at night, and Hurls went from, it was Eastern Standard Time, texting me at 7:30 saying I'm at the hospital, until it's now 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, and she still hadn't had the damn baby yet. I'm getting ready for bed. I'm like, all right, well, Hurls, congratulations. And I shit you not, I wake up in the morning and he goes, the baby was born at 11:36 Eastern Time, 10:36 Central, where Hurls is. This is the exact moment that I said congratulations. That was perfect timing. I should have done that hours ago. Saved your wife a hell of a lot of pain.
Right. Come on.
I told my wife that morning, I said, nailed it.
Right. Oh yeah, that was crazy, because I think me and Robert got done a little before midnight. So then I go to bed. I get woken up at 2:30 in the morning, and then I get woken up at 3:30 in the morning. Then I get woken up at 4:30 in the morning. So I literally got no sleep that day. Actually, no sleep for the next 2 days after that. But
next 2 years, buddy.
I'm recharged.
Next 2 years, buddy.
yeah, that's right. At least I know what to prepare for this time.
Seriously, but congratulations on behalf of all Heelcast Nation here, man. Absolutely, congratulations. That's wonderful. And like I told you before, make sure you tell Mom she does good work. It takes her forever, but she did good work.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I did it for a Raven.
That's right.
I did it for the people.
That's right, for the people.
Oh, but anyways, we gotta get to our plugs for tonight. So let's start off with where you can catch all of our content on impactasylum.net. We have this podcast there. We have a bunch of columns, a bunch of articles, news for the week. Your safe haven for all impact related things. Impactasylum.net. So go check it out. I want to give a shout out to Robert Does Wrestling. He's got his own podcast. He also did one recently with the Taxman. So check that one out. Do you know what that podcast is called?
I do not, but I'll tell you this much. Robert is apparently competing with Larkin, and he's gonna do a new show every day for the next 15 days.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and I owe him a countdown, a rundown show, okay, of EY's greatest matches. But 2 of the matches that he wanted me to review, he didn't tell me exactly which match it was, so I can't do it yet, Robert. Waiting on you, buddy. Just saying.
Wow. Yeah. he's got to deliver there for sure. Ball's in his court. But anyways, I also want to give a shout out to, I know I did it last time, but numeral 47. Yes, the name numeral 47 seems like such a distant memory in terms of Heelcast, but he just completed 4 years recently at Diva Dirt. So congratulations to him. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can catch up with him at Bound for Glory. You know he's going to have to be there.
Right, it's in his backyard.
He's going to have to be there. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to message him while you finish these plugs and see if I can't get in touch with him. I think that would be a great idea.
I tried, man. I really thought we were going to get one podcast with him, but no dice there. So anyways, the Wrestling Perspective with Petey Williams. I want to give a shout out to that one because that gets a lot of good reviews. I want to give a shout out to, oh, by the way, I think I remember what that podcast is called. I think it's the Six Sided Podcast. So check that one out. Check out BQ in the Impact Lounge. Check that one out. Also want to give a shout out to Andre Corbeil, loyal listener, always a friend of the Heelcast. So definitely give him his props. And yeah, that's really all I got for plugs this week.
Did you get Larkin?
Dude.
Did you get Larkin?
Oh, the SM
My
podcast.
God,
Yes.
that's right. That's right.
Larkin. How could I forget? Larkin, S&M podcast. So check him out. He's got like all sorts of different content, whatever you're into, porn stars, rock bands, TV shows from the 80s, you name it, that he's got it. So all right. So without any further ado, let's get into the news of Impact this week. You know, we don't have a lot because last show, me and Robert basically covered all the really, really big topics. But I got to ask you, because it was such a big topic, what the hell, Impact Dude, was WWE and Impact meeting in the same room? What do you think they were talking about?
Oh, man. You know, so but first of all, everybody, they thought that, you know, they were going to buy the company because that's the first thing that they say, right? Then they were like, well, this is so that AJ Styles can show up at, you know, and be in the Hall of Fame. And I was like, y'all are just out of your minds. And then eventually they found out that, you know, WWE actually called them and they were just shooting the shit. And you know, honestly, I think it's probably just about WWE being able to continue to use their footage. I think that at this point they have been a decent enough partner for WWE. That WWE is looking and saying, hey, you know what? If we're able to utilize the footage to build our stars when they finally come here, right, that we can use Impact as a place to take talent from, which in turn makes Impact a destination of choice, which has not been for a while. For the longest time, talent wanted to go to ROH and not Impact because Impact had, this way, WWE wanted nothing to do with anything Impact related, and so they would just shun the talent. And I think that this new regime is trying to get done with that. That's my guess, is that that's what that would be, and that's about it.
Yeah, I gave my thoughts on the last Heelcast we did, so I'm not going to go further into it, but man, I hope you're wrong. I really do, because it's just like they're just going to keep taking away the guys that we work so hard to build up. I think that would suck, but I don't see it that way, because it really seems like Impact is really trying hard to lock down their top guys lately, and that kind of goes into our next storyline with Impact and LAX. Santana and Ortiz are working very aggressively to get a new deal done, and the deal that they have currently is not anywhere near being up yet, but Impact definitely wants to lock them down. So, dude, What do you think?
I think this is a great thing. Are you talking about one of the top tag teams in the entire world? I think the only problem that I have with it is the fact that I don't feel like they're putting any quality opposition out there for them. I think the closest that they have come is with OVE. And I think actually OVE is a pretty good tag team, but I would say they're a pretty good tag team. I would say that LAX is an elite tag team. And I would like to see LAX, get some competition and get some tag competition in there. And right now they're doing a terrible job with that. It's funny, watching the main event this week, I was thinking to myself, years ago, WCW, Killer Cross and Moose, they would have been a tag team. And they would have been a heck of a good tag team. But tag team wrestling just isn't valued these days. And I think that that's part of the reason that they're able to do this. Because, WCW or WWE is not coming knocking on the doors of tag teams, right? I mean, the Bucks, obviously, they would take them in a heartbeat. But they're the Bucks, right? So I think that's part of it. But I think that they need to get them, a higher level of competition. And, Davey Richards is hinting that he may come back. Wolves versus LAX would be amazing. Young Bucks versus LAX would be amazing. And I think there's other tag teams out there too. Like I said, not Aries and Killer Cross, but Killer Cross and Moose. Those two together, even for a short stint, would be one heck of a matchup for LAX. But right now, LAX is just running around and they're feuding with the OGs because they got nothing for them.
Do you think Abyss as an in-ring performer is done wrestling, or do you think that they're just putting him in anyway?
I think that that he's never going to be done as an in-ring performer. I think these guys go for their entire lives. I don't think that Abyss has made enough money to be set for life. He just never drew that kind of coin, right? So he is definitely wrestling indie events. I mean, I see him advertised. I see it on Facebook. I see it on Twitter. So he's definitely still wrestling. It's a matter of whether he continues to wrestle for Impact or whether he's going to be behind the scenes. And to think that he'll never come back at all, ever, I don't think so, man. I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I do too, and I think they should snag Crazy Steve one more time. And I get why Impact may be hesitant to bring a guy in who left them to go try out for WWE. I think that can be a problem if you're looking for loyalty and hey, this guy doesn't want to be a part of our future, so why should we bring him back? But man, the Decay was such a great tag team. So like, you get Crazy Steve back, there you go. You got LAX versus the Decay, and we're looking at another.
I'm actually not buying that. I'm a huge Crazy Steve fan, right? And I still chat with him every now and again. And I can tell you from the things that I've heard, and had a couple side conversations with him about it on Twitter. He left on very good terms, and the door was open. I think the issue is that they just didn't have anything for him, and by the time that his WWE thing didn't work out, they had moved from the whole Abyss thing to the Joe Parks thing, and they had Chandler Park. And then, Abyss is getting slower and slower and slower. I think that they don't really want to put a whole lot on Abyss. And Steve needs Abyss in that role. Okay? And so because of that, it makes him a tough fit to not be to be a tag guy. Now, if you ask me what I would think, I would bring Jimmy Havoc in. I would tag him with Jimmy Havoc. And I would put them with Rosemary. And we'd have Decay again. Okay.
Right.
And we would have a newer and improved Decay, because you would have the two performers that really were the focal point of it. They were the ones that did the lion's share of the work, because Abyss was slowed down, and some of those tapings when they were doing the Decay stuff, Steve was working his tail off and just getting crushed because Abyss just couldn't go in the ring. I mean, he couldn't. He was legit injured. It wasn't like he sucks or anything like that. I'm sorry. Look, folks, your back's hurting you. You're just limited. And so I think that has hurt his ability to come back. But I think Jimmy Havoc is a natural fit for that position. I think the three of that crew could really come and they could really wreak some havoc again. Pun not intended, but I guess they're nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't mind that if Abyss is fine and he's not going to wrestle much anymore, but I was fine with Abyss in there. I thought he did a solid job. I mean, even though he was slower, I should say, he did it. He did enough. I mean, he played the power wrestler just perfectly fine, and you had Crazy Steve as the young, and quick, I guess the worker of the tag team. But I don't know. I just think like I'm shocked that Impact said they had nothing for them, because I mean, if we remember, they were feuding with LAX before they left.
Yeah, they were, and LAX took them out. So I mean, they would be another great tag team to have, and obviously this fan is not going to be upset at all if Crazy Steve comes back, right? I'm constantly every time I see him saying I've got dates available, I'm like, how about this, folks? How about we bring this guy, bring him back to Impact, where he belongs, bring him home. So right. No complaints from me on bringing Crazy Steve back. He was a hell of a worker and a hard worker and just a really, really, really great guy. I just cannot speak higher of anybody than I can of Crazy Steve as a human being.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, we've all heard the interview on the Heelcast. It was a great interview. And we'd love to see him back with Rosemary. They were a great tandem. So, I mean, and I agree. I think the Impact has a problem with tag teams when they always have like one dominant tag team, and then they got a bunch of other tag teams kind of in the background. I mean, if you look at the picture of Impact Wrestling's tag division, you got Fallah Bahh and KM. You got the Desi Hit Squad. You got Joe Henry and Grado. You got the OGs. So it's not like you don't have tag teams. It's just they don't get focused as much as the main one usually does.
I agree with that. The only thing that I'm going to say is that I'm not sure Desi Hit Squad's a very good tag team. So giving them a random title shot is kind of like, are you kidding me?
They're a little plain, I should say, but they're not bad workers by any means. I think they could develop more of a character to them besides their manager just slapping them every week. But they serve a purpose. And
they're a jobber tag team.
Yeah, and you need those.
Yeah, but they really need they need a finisher. They need to work together. They need to develop as a team. And really what they did was they took two random Indian guys. Sorry, folks, this is just reality. And put them together because they have a really good, Indian contract and they need to have Indian talent on the show. And they said, well, you know what? We can get two of them on all the time and we can do it by making them a tag team. And the problem is that these two random Indian guys, they may be decent workers. And they're decent workers. They're not spectacular workers by any stretch of the imagination. But you know what? When all of your money's coming from India, this is the least that you can do for those people, right? They should have more Indian talent, not less. But they need to gel as a team, and they're not. I mean, I don't feel the chemistry like I feel with LAX. I don't feel the chemistry like I feel with the Bucks, who have been doing it for God only knows how many years. I mean, for God's sakes, they're brothers. The Hardys. These are teams that they know how to work together and know how to do it. And it's nothing against the Desi Hit Squad. They're just not ready for that step yet. So they need to do something with them, but I think the manager slapping them around is their way of trying to give them character while they develop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it may take a while. I mean, I know you don't watch WWE, and that's perfectly fine, but there's a team called the Usos, who is Rikishi's sons, who were similar. They were just kind of there, and then they kind of developed their own niche over time. So I'm hoping that kind of happens with the Desi Hit Squad, where, the more experience they team up together, the better they get. And ultimately, they become a much better team. And maybe they get an edge to them, and then they start getting connecting with the crowd a little bit instead of just kind of the old, the traditional Indian gimmick, which, hopefully they can shed that and become something bigger. I think that's what we all hope.
Yeah, and they need they need that edge, they need a little character. They need to play to the crowd. They're coming out, they're clearly playing the role of heels, but they don't really act like heels. The only one that's acting like a heel is Gamma Singh right now, right? And so because of it, it's not working. And so what they need to do is they need to develop them. And these are Border City wrestling guys, right? So Scott D'Amore should be taking these guys under his wing, and he should be saying, let's work on your character, work on your character, work on your character, work on your character. I mean, he's got them as clients, so to speak, on one end, right? He's got Impact as a client on the other end, and on the third end, he's got to take care of that Sony 6 deal, and try to bring some talent that the folks in India can relate to, so they'll continue to watch the show, and so they can keep that revenue. The motivation should be there, but I feel like every day they should be coming into the gym and they should be getting character tips.
Right. And hey, let's not forget Mahabali Shera is out there again. He's a free agent. So I don't know if you want to bring him in with this group, but at least Impact fans are familiar with him.
Yeah, no thanks. I mean,
no Shera Shuffle for the Impact Dude.
He's a big guy. I thought the Shera Shuffle was fun. I think that was about the only thing I found fun about him. He's a big guy. He doesn't have the talent, and that's why he didn't get pushed bigger in Impact, and that's why WWE never did anything with him. They went, wow, this guy's an enormous guy. I can just see a billion Indians over there running around and just worshiping this guy like what all the Americans did with Hulk Hogan, right? He could be their Hulk Hogan, and every single person looks at him and goes, that could be that guy. And then they find out he's closer to Rob Terry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Two guys who are huge and have timing issues, that they always tried to push and they just never could get him over.
No, and Rob Terry is a guy you look at and you go, oh my God, we can make this guy. This guy's he's a superhero body. But superhero body's just not enough, and that's what Mahabali Shera is finding out. So, I think that they should just continue to develop the Desi Hit Squad, and I think they should add a couple guys. Do a talent search, bring them over to the States, develop them, put them on TV a little bit here and there because, you got to get them on TV as soon as you can. But ultimately bring them over and put them under Scott D'Amore and say, develop these guys so they can be something special so that they can get that Hulk Hogan for that country. They deserve it.
Right. And if you watch these Twitch shows and you watch the one night onlys, we get a ton of tag teams on there, and some of them are pretty good. Like, they got the Heavenly Bodies that we've seen a couple times on these shows, and Night of the Dummies. I just saw this new team called Team Tremendous. They had a guy who looked similar to the Big Boss Man, but similar stature. And they had another guy who could kind of do the flips, his speed guy. So it's kind of like your Decay, where you had one big guy, one fast guy, but they were very entertaining. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if Impact could sign the Heavenly Bodies and Team Tremendous, that would really help the tag team division. Just stuff like that. Like, we see them on, these one night onlys, and we see them on Twitch shows. So if you're watching them, you're familiar with these guys, and they could really, add some more teams and make the division more credible.
Exactly, and add some good teams. And, oh, by the way, just use them for a set of tapings here. Don't bring them in the next set of tapings. Bring somebody else in and rotate through them as well. I mean, there's so much that they could do with the tag division, and they're not. And this is my concern. Getting back to the original topic of LAX is the fact that I feel like this is a phenomenal signing. But I don't say signing because they haven't actually physically signed yet. But this is a great idea. But I'm sitting there going, why am I not more excited about it? And I'm not more excited about it because of the way that they're being used.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they need some more competition, and they need something to actually give them a physical threat, and I just don't think they've had that yet. So the OGs are trying. I agree. Wolves. I want to see it. Definitely. All right, so the next piece of news is a former X Division, a former television champion, and a former tag team champion, Douglas Williams, formerly of the British Invasion, has decided to call it a career. Um, I think we would have loved to see him maybe in Impact get one more run, but he's decided to hang it up. I think he's close to 50, maybe not 50, but I think he's close to it. Impact dude, what is your greatest Douglas Williams memory?
Well, first of all, Doug Williams is 46.
Okay.
Which barely makes him older than me. So I guess he's old at this point. Thanks for that one, Hurls.
Sorry. I always get a little touchy when I'm dealing with age. So,
I think with me, Doug Williams is a guy that, and we were talking about this, on the Heelcast Facebook thread earlier today, that I will always remember for A, just being entertaining, but B, being a guy that managed to be in a group with Magnus and Rob Terry before they were good. Right? Like yes. when they were bad for Magnus and Rob Terry. And coming from somebody who's just, Rob Terry is Rob Terry, right?
Yes.
And Magnus has gotten better over the years. We got to give him a little bit of credit, but Magnus is just not the guy you're going to just build around, right? Impact tried it, it failed, and Corgan tried it, and he got the belt off of him finally, right? Because he just had nobody else. Doug Williams is the reason that they were entertaining. He's not a guy who you're ever going to go, man, I remember that championship match, and he was the best in the world, because that's just not who he is. He doesn't have that Mahabali Shera physique. He doesn't have that Rob Terry or Magnus physique, but just goes to show you had two guys that looked like superheroes next to him, and he was the only one that was entertaining, and he was good enough to carry them. But he did it in such a way that he was still able to put those guys over in the process. Okay? And so to me, that's what makes him such an amazing talent, because he was able to get those guys over when they had no business getting over. And when he left, they didn't really go over so much, and they tried like hell with Magnus. I mean,
oh yeah,
big Rob and little Rob, maybe not so much, but they tried like hell. And honestly, Doug Williams got him over.
Yeah, he did. I mean, they tried forever with Rob Terry. I mean, he had that television championship run where he was like indestructible, but man, his matches were so bad. Like they had to make those matches like 4 minutes long because that's all he could do. It was kind of painful, and I actually didn't mind him teaming up with Robbie E. I thought that was kind of funny, some of the stuff that they did, and then Rob Terry started doing the whole dancing thing, which was funny. It was funny, but
the turkey costume. That was my favorite Rob Terry moment, the turkey costume.
Oh yes, I do remember that. And then obviously his final run, which he was the Freak in the Menagerie, which was pretty bad.
Moving on.
Moving on from that. Douglas Williams was awesome wrestler. He was actually, if I remember this correctly, he was signed in like 2006, and they like took forever to debut him. I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? You got this wrestler who's got a lot of buzz from the UK, and you're taking forever to debut him. Like, I just didn't understand that, because like I was hearing such good things about him, and he was really like one of the guys, besides like a Steven Regal, and Dynamite Kid. He was like one of those guys, like you heard, he was one of the best wrestlers from the UK. So, and this is really before the UK scene really blew up. So, and then finally, the cool thing about Douglas Williams was his finisher, the Chaos Theory, I think it was called, where he did the rolling German suplex.
Rolling Thunder, awesome. Right? When they call it Rolling Thunder?
That was RVD's move. RVD did the move called Rolling Thunder. He did they called it Rolling Chaos Theory, I think it was called. It was something of that. I'm sure we'll get corrected in the comments or chat. But Douglas Williams, awesome wrestler. Loved his whole X division, like where he was going to be just a ground-based wrestler. He didn't need to do the high-flying moves, and he actually had a run with the television title as well. he was basically he won every single title in Impact Wrestling besides the heavyweight. So I think that is really cool. When you think about, you really think about it, he was one title away from being a Grand Slam champion. But then again, so is Robbie E. So I don't know how much that holds, but
So it was Chaos Theory, and Robert
yes.
Robert hooked us up on that one in the comments. So thank you, Robert, for that.
Awesome. So, yeah, no, but Douglas Williams, he provided a lot of really good matches. 2010, 2011, he had some really good matches with AJ Styles and Kazarian. So, yeah, thank you, Douglas Williams, for all the uh, great stuff you gave us in TNA and Impact. So, cool stuff. Impact Dude, you had a third news story you wanted to get to, correct? I totally forgot.
So demographics up, views down. Just talking about ratings again, Hurls. That was the other one. It's the ratings have not been good over the past couple months. What's interesting is that we lost viewers, but the demo went up. So in reality, I think we actually jumped up 20 shows from where we were last week. But bear in mind, it just means that all 20 shows are getting about the same ratings every week, folks. So don't get too excited. It's not like we made some sort of a massive jump. But the good news is that the key demographic, I guess the 18 to 49 and whatever that range is up. And so, we did better. And I'm looking at the comments right now, and Coolman952 is saying, Impact needs to be on a better channel. And Coolman, couldn't agree with you more, buddy. What I'll say, though, is that they need to actually go out and earn that, too. And so they need to earn that by keeping the ratings and the best ratings they've had. And right now, they're not doing a good job of it. And Hurls, I don't know what your take on this is, but mine's pretty simple. I feel like the main event scene, it lacks excitement, and they lack a draw. And right now, they've got the company, basically on the shoulders of Austin Aries. And I'm not sure that that's a safe place to put it. Nothing against Austin Aries. Austin Aries is a great guy. He's a great wrestler. But I'm just not sure that he's going to provide that drawing power that the company really needs in order to fix these numbers.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. I mean, they actually moved up in the top 150. I think they moved up to like 111. I think there's just less TV watchers that night for whatever reason.
Well, there were some debuts too, So, for instance, Last Man Standing re-debuted after a year off and was just like shattering ratings records over there for Fox, right? So they drew like 8 million that night. And their DVR numbers, I don't think they've been released yet or not, but they're going to be off the charts. ABC also debuted its that was Friday night though. Jeez, man, I'm a day late and dollar short.
Oh wow. Well, I mean,
forget all that. It's got nothing to do with it. But they were up against the Jared Goff show, and they said that actually thinking about it, they said that that drew some pretty big numbers. So it's funny because Thursday Night Football did great, Sunday Night Football did lousy.
Right. Yeah, I think whenever you're going up against the NFL and it's tough competition, that you're going to lose some ratings because NFL is still very, very popular. It's still the number one sport in America. So whenever you got a wrestling show against that, you're going to lose some ratings. But I also think though in the fall there's actually more people watching TV because the weather's starting to kind of turn cold. So I don't know. I just think like there's a lot of matches, but not a lot of storyline. And I feel like you do need storyline to draw in more casual viewers who are just watching for that purpose only. Because not everyone is going to be into the 5-star classics, and I think that's a little bit of the issue. And it also this is kind of like a fourth news story to go over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Pop TV deal comes up at the end of the year, correct?
Yes. I think it might actually be slightly before then, but actually they might have to finish the negotiation slightly before then, like November or something. They'd have to announce.
Okay. And from all accounts, I would think the safe thing to guess is they're probably going to be staying on Pop.
We haven't heard anything, you know, and unless they're suddenly magically tight-lipped about it, which, let's face it, you know, any kind of negotiations that have ever been ongoing have been all over the internet, right? They've never been able to do anything without being on the internet. So the fact that there's nothing being said leads me to believe that they've either signed or are getting ready to re-sign, and it's just a matter of, you know, dotting I's and crossing T's. As much as we'd like them to go on to WGN or any other better network, I just really feel like if that was going on, that it would get slipped and leaked. It just seems too unreasonable after everything we've been through over the past 7 or 8 years of TV negotiations with Spike and Destination America and now Pop, that they would suddenly be able to do something quietly.
Right, exactly. And yeah, I mean, well, when Dixie Carter ran the company, you heard everything they were doing, you know, and it's kind of nice to not have all these crazy, you know, rumors going, you know, left and right. So I think you're right. I think Pop TV, I'm fine with Pop TV. I have no problems with Pop. Sure, I would love to see them on a bigger network, but if Pop is it, then I'm fine with it for now, you know, until they build up their viewership and are able to get a better TV deal. But until then, Pop works for me. So yeah, that's it for the news. Let's go into Impact then. First match we had was a Knockouts Championship match. We were in Mexico again. It was Fabi Apache challenging Tessa Blanchard for the Knockouts Championship. We saw Tessa Blanchard win this match. Dude, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because Fabi Apache is actually a pretty darn good wrestler. I gotta say, she put on a heck of a show. But this is an example, Hurls, of what you said about them just, you know, not having much storyline behind things. You know, they've made a conscious effort that they wanted to go on the road. Okay, they have made a conscious effort that they want to, you know, be, what's the word, like a traveling circus type of a show, right? Which is great. This is how they're going to build their revenue. It beats the crap out of being stuck in the Impact Zone, and don't let Chef tell you differently. Okay, at the same point in time, the way that they're able to do it is they're bringing in talent that is from destination areas because it's cheaper. They don't have to pay for travel, right? They can cut costs. They can have a little bit larger roster. And then what happens is they go down to Mexico and they find somebody like Fabi Apache, who is very, very clearly, okay, the caliber of knockout that they would put on their own roster, right? But now we don't know anything about her. And so to get over with the fans down in Mexico, to draw them to the arena to begin with, they got to put Fabi Apache on the show and give her a title shot. Well, as a talent, she's more than capable and deserving of that kind of a title shot. But at the end of the day, nobody knows anything about her.
Right. Unless you're, you know, you're in Mexico and you follow AAA closely. Because I mean, let's not forget too, Impact just got a TV deal in Mexico not long ago. So I think this was kind of a way to get their audience to kind of be like more familiar with the Mexican talents. Dude, are you there?
I'm here, man. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I heard awkward silence. Sorry about that. Anyways, the second match of the night was Brian Cage taking on Jay Christ. This was kind of set up from Sami Callihan basically saying to Jake that, hey, you're wrestling Brian Cage tonight. So as you
that was great. That was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, this one bothered me. This one bothered me less, simply because they do have some heat between them, and this is actually building to something. Do you know what I'm saying? So it bothered me a lot less because of that.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, the match makes sense. I mean, they're having a 6-man tag at Bound for Glory, so they want to do the. It's an easy booking decision when you can split up the different combinations of that match. So I enjoyed it though. I think Jay Chris did the best he could at trying to kind of slow down Cage, but obviously Cage wins at the end, and then OVE gets the cheap shot at the end of the match, and then all of a sudden the lights go out, and then we see Dave Chris get kidnapped, and there's Pentagon and Phoenix just tying him up to a chair and basically giving him a double super kick while he's seated. I thought that was pretty cool.
And they did that in all about 5 or 6 seconds too, I should add. So in about 5 or 6 seconds of the lights being out, they managed to get him out of the arena into an undisclosed location, tied up and blindfolded. I mean, that is some serious freaking work, and they can't get a 3 count. They better win their Bound for Glory match, folks, because quite frankly, they better be able to get a 3 count if they can do all that in 5 seconds.
No kidding. I don't know. I think they got some secret powers that we're not aware of, because that was very impressive to get him backstage that quickly. So, anyways, backstage we had Katarina sarcastically apologize to Grado for her change of heart to his best friend Joe Henry. Then Katarina tells Grado and Joe that she has a gift for them, the murder clown. Then Katarina, Then Katarina tells Joe that he has a match with the clown next week and invites Grado to watch. Thoughts on that segment?
I mean, this is another use of a local talent to allow them to draw at the arena, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. I know I make it sound like it's a horrible, terrible thing, but we need to be introduced to these people. In this case, not such a big deal. Okay, they said, hey, he's the murder clown. He's going to help out, in an angle, not the main event, not a championship match, but just, Grado and Joe Hendry, right? Mid-card, lower mid-card at that. So this is decent use of local talent here, but that's what Katarina's up to here. And so that's how they're going to roll. It is at least advancing the Katarina angle with Grado and Joe Hendry. So I have to say they're at least trying to advance that. But Hurls, I'm going to ask you this: where the hell is this going?
I really don't know. How can it go much further? Because unless you're going to have an intergender match, which Impact doesn't really do that, I don't really see where it can go besides the next couple of weeks. So maybe that's where this whole thing ends. I'm not really sure.
I mean, the only way that this thing goes any more in the next couple of weeks is, God forbid, and I say God forbid, Scarlett Bordeaux's talent search ends with Grado.
Yes.
She has hinted at him a little bit. It's not as far-fetched as we would all like it to be. And yes, we would all like it to be far-fetched. I kid you not. But otherwise, where does this go? Now, Grado's going to move on to something else. He always does. Joe Henry is going to get something else. Okay. Where's Katarina go? She's established nothing.
And that's sad because she's a former Knockouts champion. I mean, yeah, maybe she brings in someone.
That's what Scarlett's supposed to be doing.
Which right, and then she's starting her new Joe and Scarlett are like a thing, and then Katarina brings in someone to kind of attack Grado. Maybe I don't know. That's where I would assume it would go if it does go that route.
I don't think it goes anywhere. I think it just falls off the planet. That's what I think happens to it, and I think that's a concern, because they need to have these stories that have logical beginning, middle, and end. To me, it should have ended when Joe Hendry said, no, thank you.
Right. I agree. And then maybe Katarina should have found something else. I don't know, because I think she's a hell of a talent and a beautiful looking woman. So I don't know. We'll just have to see if they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, I guess, with that. So then we had the Impact Tag Team Champions, LAX, They defeated the Desi Hit Squad. Decent match. Nothing really amazing. But yeah, Desi Hit Squad just isn't getting many wins lately. So yeah, that was it. We also forgot to mention that Taya Valkyrie basically interrupted Tessa Blanchard after her match and basically called her out for Bound for Glory. And it wasn't until later that Tessa Blanchard actually accepts the challenge. So it's going to be Tessa Blanchard versus Taya Valkyrie. What do you think that was the right call for Impact? I think they had to go with Taya because I don't think they had really anybody else.
What has Taya done over the course of the past year? Except right. No show Bound for Glory.
You're right. She couldn't make any of the tapings. I give you that one.
So how can she be? I mean, don't get me wrong, Hurls. I'm sitting here and I'm going, if not Taya, who? I gotcha. I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're right. That's the sad part, is that you're right.
I know.
But at the same point in time, it's like, seriously, the only thing that she's done is job over the past, few months. And she had to, because they couldn't count on her because she couldn't freaking beat any of the tapings. And now they're going to give her a title shot at Bound for Glory. Go figure, her husband is on Survivor and getting a title shot. And you sit there and you say to yourself, where is that going because of that? I don't think there's a chance in hell she goes over. Let me make that prediction right now. Okay, Tessa Blanchard will retain at Bound for Glory. But she couldn't even be at the show to confront Tessa Blanchard. She had to do it by a freaking video.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I agree. This came out of nowhere, and I think me and you, like, we watched WCW where guys actually had to get wins before they would get title shots. And I think a lot of times is they just don't have anyone else, and they just thrust these people right into the title scene. I'm not saying it's always like that, but with this, it was. Johnny Impact, it kind of was. I just want to see, like, someone actually kind of work their way up and get title shots instead of just being thrown into them.
And let me ask you a question.
Feels like.
Let me hit you up with a question here. Do you believe that Taya Valkyrie is knockout champion material?
Well, I think she could be. Yes.
I think she absolutely is. I think she's incredibly talented. Do you think it is believable for her to be the champion at Bound for Glory?
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't think she's done anything over the past couple months. I think she needs to go out and kick somebody's ass. Like anybody's ass.
Well,
okay. Go get Amber Nova and kick her ass. Like, kick somebody's ass. Kick Alicia Edwards' ass. But go out there and beat the shit out of somebody.
She did lose to Kiera Hogan, which was pretty bad. I think she lost to Madison Rayne too. Yeah,
twice, right? Wasn't it twice to Madison?
Yeah. It's been twice. But here's the thing: like, Impact is stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I don't know what it is, but the Knockouts division is like as thin as you could get. There's literally, like, you got Rosemary out, you got Kiera Hogan and Allie, but they're not going to go full force with Kiera, at least not yet. And Allie just kind of got done with the program, and she correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't she face Tessa Blanchard at Slammiversary?
Allie?
Yes.
Yes, I believe she did.
Yeah, she did. So
I believe she did, yeah.
I guess they didn't want to do that again. And who the hell? You're not going to go with Katarina because you got her with a comedy angle, kind of.
Scarlett hadn't been in the ring at all.
Yeah, Scarlett hasn't even been
I guess that leaves Kiera and Alicia Edwards, right?
I mean,
moving on.
There you go. You're not going to do Alicia. And by the way, when I do my review of Night of the Dummies, Alicia might have had the worst Impact match of the year, maybe with Rebel. By the way.
Oh God.
And it's not all Alicia's fault. Rebel looked like she was drunk at that event. I don't know, but it was just like, what the Knockouts needs a reshuffling in 2019. And I hate to say that because TNA Slash Impact has had so much consistency a lot of times with the knockouts, but I feel like this year it has just been who's there basically, who can we use, and it's not really what makes logical sense. It's just like, okay, who's not injured and who doesn't have visa problems. It's like, oh my goodness, we just cannot win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of really my whole thoughts on that. So anyways, we had a segment with the OGs and LAX. King and the OGs appear on the screen, and then King shows an old photo of Conan and says everyone used to look up to him. And then he reminds Conan when he lost his mask and says that's when he started to leech off of people. Then King told Santana Ortiz they don't need Conan, just like Homicide and Hernandez don't need him. Then King lights Conan's old mask on fire and says he's going to end him in their concrete jungle death match at Bound for Glory. Pretty good promo, would you say?
Yeah, it was a pretty good promo. I agree with that.
Yep. And then we also had a backstage segment with KM and Falaba for KM was thanking Falaba for taking care of him after Aries, Moose, and Cross basically took him out the week before, and then KM tells Fala that he doesn't need his help, though. Instead, he tells Fala to get revenge. So that was kind of funny.
Those two are funny together, and those two are another two that that it's going to be hard to ever take them seriously as a tag team, but they're still fun to watch.
Oh, I agree. Like I feel like they were thrown together a little bit, but they're making it work. So that's always a plus. And by the way, if you want to talk about 5-star match, watch Night of the Dummies. We had Dick Justice versus Richard Justice, the standby wrestler, versus Falaba, in probably one of the better comedy matches you're going to see all year. So definitely check that out. I got to stop giving away stuff for my Night of the Dummies review. Anyways.
Robert did looking at the comments, Robert did bring up a really good point. They could bring Gail Kim in to take on Tessa. And it might sound random, but that would at least be a solid match.
And that's what I've been at. I actually wrote that on Twitter. I wrote that on Twitter, and when Gail said that if she had one more match, it'd be for Impact. And I was like, okay, you need to have a match with Tessa. So I'm surprised they didn't go that route, but I don't know. It just depends how serious Gail Kim is about retiring. Because I'm sure she could still go. It's just how much pain does she want to withstand, I guess.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Anyways, we also had Kiera Hogan and Allie defeated Su Yung and the Undead Maid of Honor. We all know who that is, but for kayfabe's sake, I'm not going to say it.
But we'll just say this much: it would start with K.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. So, did you like this match?
Not really, actually. No, it didn't work for me. And you know what? I will tell you this much: part of it is because I'm just bored to tears of this feud. It just won't end. Every freaking week they come out and they wrestle. Maybe Hurls wouldn't be so worried about who's going to wrestle Tessa Blanchard at Bound for Glory if this feud just ended at some point and they had moved these women on to something else. Maybe we wouldn't be worried about Tessa.
I just think that they wasted an opportunity with Su Yung, and she's taken a regression from her character, and I think they would have been better had they done a long drawn out program with Su Yung versus Tessa Blanchard. That would have worked better than what they're doing with her now, because she is taking a lot of losses lately. And for someone who has that mystique to her, and I don't want to compare it to The Undertaker or Sting when, he wasn't talking. I just think that they wasted an opportunity. If they were going to have Tessa win the title, I would have done it at Bound for Glory against Su Yung. I would have not. It's just like seems like Su Yung is just lost in the shuffle right now, and it was so cool when she put Madison Rayne in the coffin at Slammiversary, and then it just went to hell in a handbasket.
I feel like this whole thing is set up to reintroduce Rosemary, who keeps tweeting things out along the lines of soon, hashtag soon. Now, she's not going to be ready to wrestle for quite some time, but she could be making an appearance at Bound for Glory and making, using her to liven up the Knockouts division in a massive way. I mean, that's their number one star. You know what I'm saying? The division is built around Rosemary, and she's not active. And so it's never going to bode well for the division to have your number one star not be around. And I think if they tried to say, oh, we'll just replace her with Su Yung, and that just didn't work because Su Yung is not Rosemary. Su Young's great in her own right, but she's just not at that level. She's not on that level. Nobody else on the roster really is on that level if you want to know the truth. So when you look at it from that perspective, the division has suffered. And I think that this whole, constantly have somebody go in a coffin, keep Allie around is because, Allie's going to wind up a damsel in distress just as soon as Rosemary can get there. And maybe they were hoping Rosemary would be available a little bit sooner. See, I would have gone away from this after Slammiversary and separated them for a while and then maybe brought them back together at the set of tapings to do something at Bound for Glory to reintroduce Rosemary. You see what I'm saying? But it's been overdone at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree to an extent. I thought Su Yung was kind of carving her own niche, and that's not easy to do, especially when you had Rosemary, who, I mean, let's face it, she had a very similar gimmick. They both kind of do, the dark and scary, but I mean, those you can have two evil gimmicks coexist. I mean, like Kane and the Undertaker, Sting and Abyss. I mean, well, Sting was never in TNA, never really was that, but I mean, you can, it can be done. It's just hard. It's just really hard. But I thought, they were on a right path when they, Su Yung really, dominated the feud over Madison Rayne. I thought she was looking good, and then, she loses it to Tessa, which I thought was rather quick. Tessa's got the title. I'm not saying Tessa doesn't deserve to be champion. She definitely does. I just would have done it at a bigger stage than just a random Impact.
Oh, totally. The girl deserves it too. She deserves it on the biggest stage. I'm pretty sure she was happy getting it sooner, but she deserved it on the bigger stage.
I just think they kind of blew their load, so to speak. I know all about blowing loads, okay?
Hey, you know when I would have done it, honestly?
Yeah.
I would have done it all in.
That would have been awesome. Yeah,
I would have done it all in. That would have been. I would have been like, you know what? We're gonna put two of our talents on there. We're gonna give you a title change, and we're gonna give Tessa Blanchard her first title win, and that would have just gone over in that crowd. That would have been good for ratings. It would have been good for everything. That's where I would have done it.
Yeah, if they could have negotiated with Cody and the Young Bucks about doing that match and having an Impact title on that match, then I would have. Yeah, that would have been a no-brainer.
I mean, Tessa was on the card.
Yeah, you have 11,000 people. Yeah, she was already on the card, so what's the difference? I'm sure they would have been fine with it.
They would have loved it.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, that's too bad. Missed opportunity. So then, anyways, in the main event, we had Johnny Impact and Eddie Edwards take on Moose and Killer Cross. It seems like the first time we've seen Killer Cross in a match in how long? I mean, quite a while. Like, I remember him facing Petey Williams, and that was about it. But it was good to see him in a match, and I thought the match was pretty good. And Moose and Killer Cross got the win. I think they definitely needed it with their new, with Moose's new persona, and you're trying to really build up Killer Cross. I think it was a no-brainer decision there.
And let's face it, going into Bound for Glory, the heels should be going up, right? You want the faces beat down. So it makes sense from a story perspective as well. This one at least was advancing the story, but the real news out of this match wasn't so much the match, which was fine in its own right. It was the fact that they gave Aries, Moose, and Cross their own special theme. And that means that they're actually planning on keeping those guys together for a bit, right? And if they're planning on keeping them together for a bit, it makes this feel like it's going to be less of a random pairing and maybe more of a wolf pack type of event, right? So if you can establish this as the next coming of the wolf pack and maybe somebody gets added here or there, right? Kenny King, right? You want to talk news? Kenny King finished up with Ring of Honor. Austin Aries is tweeting out, I didn't even have to be at the show to leave an impact. You know, come on over and join us. Kenny King's also a Vegas guy. Cross and Aries are Vegas guys. These are guys that train together. Legit train together. They're friends. One may be a vegan and one may be a carnivore for real. Those are their actual diets. But at the same point in time, those two gentlemen do train together and they eat lunch together all the time. So, wow, that would be pretty darn cool.
I totally forgot about Kenny King. I was a big fan of his. Well, it'd be cool to see him back. I would definitely be on board with a Kenny King return. I actually have his T-shirt. Darn it! The last time I went to a Impact house show, I bought his T-shirt, Pretty Boy Pitbull T-shirt. So.
And he's a guy they could add to that stable and grow that stable and try to build up something special with it. The problem is they're going to need a new front guy because I just don't see Aries as that front guy. That's my issue with it.
I just want to mention a couple names to you, and I want you to see like if this would help out Impact's main event scene. What about giving Mr. Anderson another look?
I love Mr. Anderson, but what has Mr. Anderson done since he's been in Impact? He was at ICW for a bit anyway, right? Did he do a spell over there?
He did a match in Ring of Honor. I know that. He did like one Ring of Honor. He's actually doing like boxing introductions and he runs his wrestling school. You know, he hasn't done a lot.
I mean, I love the guy if he can be straight. I mean, he's just got to keep his head on. He's got to stay away from drugs and alcohol and everything else that's kind of like killed him. But one of my all-time, favorite, TNA, we'll call him talents, was Mr. Anderson. I was absolutely an Anderson mark. So the problem is that he's got to be reliable. Do you know what I'm saying? He's got to be reliable, and he can't do some of the things that he did when they had to let him go. So that's the issue with him. And then the other question is, where does he fit in on the roster? Who do you feud him with? Because he is not the high flyers that they have today. They got all these lucha guys. Could you imagine him trying to go 1-on-1 with frickin' Cage or 1-on-1 with frickin' Pentagon? Those guys are going to fly all over the place, and Anderson's going to be like trying to get out of the way.
Well, right. No, I agree. They're definitely going for more of a style nowadays, of a quicker, faster, more high-flying style. Even the heavyweights have to do some of that. But I feel like Mr. Anderson, at least the last time we saw him, could hold his own in that regard. Let's not forget he did do the Swanton Bomb.
He
as
did.
One of his moves.
He did.
So he also did the Green Bay Plunge, which is kind of a cool move in itself. But I get what you mean.
It's not that I don't like the guy. I'm not sure that he fits.
Right. And I don't even know if he's even wanting to wrestle anymore. I really don't. So I'm just kind of spitballing, just to try to get some, bigger, maybe some more household. I'm not saying he's a household name, but you get what I'm saying. A little more main event draw, just to kind of spice up the main event scene a little bit. So I don't know. I was just thinking of Mr. Anderson. But anyways, Impact, I give it like a 7 out of 10. It just didn't do a lot for me. It wasn't bad, wasn't great. I just think going into Bound for Glory, we should have a little bit better build up. And I think this is what happened last year too at Bound for Glory. I just feel like Slammiversary has been really good with the build ups. Bound for Glory lately has just not been that great of build up.
It's like they're able to reset in all the time between Bound for Glory and Slammiversary, but coming out of Slammiversary, they're not able to reset. And my issue with this, and I'm only going to give this show a 5 out of 10, and I'm only going to give it a 5 out of 10 because there was really nothing that led me to go, I can't wait to watch Impact next week. The only hook at all that we got is Scarlett Bordeaux's talent search, and quite frankly, they teased the shit out of the fact that she was going to make an announcement for a week, and now they just the announcement is that we're going to get more announcements. So
right.
So what they need is they need a hook. They need to leave, Brian Cage in the ring beat up. Is Brian Cage going to come back? He's got a match for the X Division Championship with Sami Callihan next week. Is he going to make it? Right? Or maybe it's not Sami Callihan. Maybe they're just enabling Matt Sydal or Rich Swann to come in and get a title match, and Cage is beat up, and then Cage is to come out, with freaking taped up ribs or something. Give me a reason. Give me something to look forward to for next week, other than there's going to be some matches.
Right. Yeah. You can't just have matches and not have a story. I agree with that.
You absolutely cannot do that.
Well, I've been a big supporter of actually having some type of story built around a match. I mean, if you want to have random matches, have them on your one night onlys and your Twitch. Okay, that's where you have random matches, not your impacts and pay-per-views.
And the problem with this is that, they're looking at Ring of Honor and they're trying to model themselves after Ring of Honor. And that's what Ring of Honor does, right? Ring of Honor has never really booked a whole lot of feuds. Yes, they have feuds. People are doing stuff against people, but it's not the same that we're used to. But Ring of Honor is a 1-hour show, not a 2-hour show. They don't have to keep your attention for more than an hour. So you watch a couple of matches, you realize that they're kind of long, and so you fast forward through half of the match because it's just a bunch of long matches, and it's fine, and it works for them. But it's not going to work for Impact. They've got to be bigger and better than that because they have more television time to fill. And so they need to look at what Ring of Honor is doing well and emulate that, but also make sure that it works within the constructs of their own product. And right now, they're not accomplishing that very well.
Right. Do what Ring of Honor does well, but also keep what you did well with storylines. And I've always thought TNA did good with their storylines, and they're kind of just abandoning that for the straight wrestling match format. So I think they should do a little bit of both. Give us the 50-50. That's what I want to see. And I know a lot of people, including a lot of casuals, they do want to see more storylines kind of being built on the product. So, well, dude, it was great to have you back on the Heelcast.
Dude, it's been freaking great. I mean, it's been a long time in coming.
It feels kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. This is your baby, but I've kind of adopted this as my baby as well.
It's everybody's baby. It was never my baby. It was always the team's baby. And there are times when, and I said this from the very beginning, Hurls, even before you joined it, there are going to be times when I'm just going to go missing for a while because I know how my schedule is, and my schedule was freaking insane this summer. But man, it is still so good to be home on the Heelcast. It is freaking. I'm just so ecstatic to be back. I can't even tell you, bud.
Right. No, that's awesome. I mean, let's try to. I mean, obviously your schedule's slowing down. Mine, I got the newborn and all that, but there'll be times where I can work around. So let's try to get this thing a little more consistent.
Damn right. Damn freaking right. Amen.
Yeah. And let's get. Heck, I mean, we need to get Raven Effect back on as well.
It's
been a while for him.
He's freaking left our chat group too. We got to figure out why he keeps leaving. Somebody keeps adding him back, and he keeps leaving.
Well, I'm gonna make a couple roster moves tonight in that chat room. So, stay tuned.
All right, cool beans.
But you know what? I'm gonna let you get some sleep.
Awesome.
You got a big day tomorrow. So,
thanks
for coming on the Heelcast. And
thanks for having me, bud.
Hope everybody enjoyed it. We will see you next week.